So let me ask you something about that, Adeem, right? So very, very interesting. It's amazing where you start, right, in life and where you end up. I mean, what I want to know is that where did that kind of mindset come from? Because you had like you're saying that I was like I was going to prove everyone wrong. I was going to work really hard, and you took massive action. Like at that age, how do you get that kind of mindset? Like what drove you to behave in such like a great way?
I think it's because of the family environment really. Because my mum was a single parent in a northern town, and she was so positive. She still is so positive, and she's like a real powerful lady in the sense of she's a pillar for the Asian women in our community. And she literally doesn't take no for an answer. If she believes in something, she learned to drive because she had to do the errands for those guys, and she had to do the shopping, and she had to drop us off at school. She learned how to sew clothes to make some extra money in terms of being able to fund our activities at school and school trips and whatnot. And I remember starting off with the pencil cases, sewing pencil cases at home for like 2 pence each and whatever. And I went from there to a market shop, and she went from a market shop then to actually having a shop on the high street in Wakefield. Wow. We used to go to warehouses and buy like garments and material, and it was all new because this is not something that we did. I mean, my grandfather, may Allah have mercy on his soul, he was in the military. He was in the Indian Army, and then obviously the Pakistan Army. That's obviously that from his age, but he fought in the Second World War. And then he came over like a lot of our elders did. So we come from a kind of an agricultural family. A lot of whom have gone into the military. So kind of business and retail and this kind of field is absolutely new to us. But it's something that my mum did, and she just did with a smile on her face, and she did just by plowing through. And I learned about relationships, and that was just normal. But for me, seeing that was just, this is how life is. You graft hard on a Monday morning, and you graft hard on a Friday night, and you graft hard on a Saturday, 7 days a week. We didn't really have many holidays apart from when family or friends were like, okay, why don't you come with us? And, we were the kind of family or the people that came along because we got the invite, not because we could afford it, kind of thing. So it absolutely is a mindset. And again, my grandfather, he came to live with us after my dad passed away, and he kind of like told me how in the military, how you'd polish your shoes and how you'd put your socks on your poly trousers, and how you'd kind of like maybe do this in the garden. And I remember back in those days, you make and mend, so the nails of when you pull a nail or a screw out of a door, you batter it with a hammer and you straighten it out and you put it in a box. And then when you need the nail or screw again, you wouldn't go to B&Q and buy a new nail. You'd use one that you just pulled out.
Oh no, so true.
Do you know what I mean? So the shelving, like you've got a beautiful shelf in the background. There wasn't any of that. I only started to go out and buy things like that when I had my own business, and the business was being, alhamdulillah, started being successful. Before that, it was you just recycle everything. You recycle a door into a shelf, you recycle a shelf into a wedge. You recycle a wedge into a part of a shed. Do you know what I mean? So it was that kind of a thing. So alhamdulillah.
And so when you got that internship for like the longer period, 6 months and stuff, so you said it opened your eyes to like the digital world and broadcasting and all these kind of things. So where did it go from there then?
So I think from there it just smashed that ceiling. There was this ceiling that we all have as humans, because we're creatures of experience, aren't we? And we're creatures of like learning. If we learn something in theory, it's in theory. Then you've got to be practical with it. Once you can do the practical, then you've done it. Then it's easy. It's easy in your mind. And I guess I was living the practical life of being able to see and to be involved in a team that was doing these things. And by the time I was kind of like towards the end of my work experience, I was helping in projects that were doing tens of thousands of pounds. Back then, that was a hell of a lot of money for like an identity or a digital brochure or that type of thing. And then I thought I'm going to go it alone. And I was working in a pizza shop in Wakefield again to subsidise my education. That was on a weekend, so you finish college on a Friday, you go home, get changed, go into the pizza shop, spend all all night till 4 o'clock in the morning in a pizza shop. And I had a good relationship with the chap who owned the pizza shop, and I said to him, look, I want to, it was a double-fronted pizza shop, and it was huge upstairs. And I didn't, to be honest with you, I didn't really know what I was doing. And I said to the chap, I said, look, I want to start my own business, and I'd like to do it upstairs in the room upstairs, because it's not, there's nothing there. You don't need all that space. You're not using all that space. And he says, okay. He was, a shrewd businessman. He says, you can have the room upstairs if you do an extra shift. And when you're in, if you can turn the pizza oven on at 4 o'clock, and if you let the doner kebab man in. So he got a really good deal, because he had the security during the day, and then I used to let the guys in, the wholesale guys in, and whatever, open the freezer. I knew what I was doing anyway. And that was the start. And that was the start of the business. So when I initially started, it was a web and print design shop. And I remember stood upstairs in the design agency, the design shop, and I looked out the window. And I was looking out the window. I was thinking to myself, I've got so much experience, alhamdulillah, at that time, because the industry that I'd been in, the agency that I'd been in. And I thought, how do I tell the world about my experience? How do I tell the people on this road about my experience? Cars driving past, people driving past. And that's when I knew I had to push out the concept of marketing and turning on the light bulb for people to know that I'm here. And it was a huge challenge. Like now we've got a massive startup business challenge, culture, entrepreneurial culture, startup culture. Back then there was none of that. And you were mad to be starting up your own business. I mean, what is that? Why are you even doing that? So I got, a few people that I knew from college and friends and family members, and I just kind of like immersed them together, and they started helping me out in kind of setting up the print business. And our first client was actually quite funny, because it's just one of those, alhamdulillah, I guess if you've got the mindset of doing something, the opportunities come your way. But when an opportunity comes your way, you've got to see it as an opportunity. Some people see it as a threat. Other people can see it as a disadvantage. Other people, you've got to just have that mindset that this is actually an opportunity. We can do something with this. So I remember stood at the queue in Staples, and I was there to buy a document or something. I can't remember. There was a chap in front of me, and he was complaining about the cost of printing some brochures, because he was actually manufacturing brake drums and discs. So he's in there quite a kind of a manufacturing field, very boring. They do brake drums and discs for the big commercial vehicles. This is so expensive. How can you charge this? La 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 la. And I says, excuse me. What you want to really do is you want to make your catalog. You want to transfer your catalog from print to digital. And he looked over and he says, "What are you talking about, kid? What are you talking about?" I said, "What you need is back in the days with CD-ROMs. I said, you need to transfer all your information, put it onto a CD-ROM. Once you've transferred it and put it onto a CD-ROM, then you can hand the CDs out, or even better, get a website."
What year was this, by the way?
This was 98.
Wow, okay. All right. That's good. That gives context.
When I was 18, 19, so literally 20 years ago. And he's like, "What are you talking about, kid? I don't know what you're talking about. Anyway, give me your number, because I want to go talk to somebody about it." So I didn't have no business cards or anything. I gave him my number, and I got back to the office, and he called me. When he called me, it was, my gaffer, my boss wants to talk to you. Can you come down? Okay, wow, I want to come down. So we went down, and his boss was very entrepreneurial. He's set up in South Africa. He got his like big kind of like industrial kind of like warehouses, and they manufactured their own OEM type products. It was like an industrial steel plant almost. And his boss saw the benefit in that, and he started chatting, and that was our first customer. And it was huge. It was massive. I mean, I couldn't believe the first. We got a check for X amount. I was like, wow, can you really sign a check for that amount? Do you know what I mean? It's like my house is worth less than that.